Welcome back to another tutorial. My name is Plague, and today we're going to talk about cleaning our Loopstation as well as cleaning our microphone. It's very important to clean our device and know how to clean it properly because this will allow our device to last a lot longer. Plus, we love this thing and we want to take good care of it. And it's good therapy for both ourselves and the Loopstation. We put it through a lot of abuse. Anyways, plus it's helpful knowledge. I didn't know how to clean a microphone before I got a microphone, but this tutorial will hopefully show you how to do all that. So as you can see on this B-roll footage that I have, the Loopstation is very, very dirty. I have purposely kept it dirty. I recorded every single track that I know without cleaning it once, just to make sure this was nice and dirty. Once I was done filming everything, this was the first tutorial that I actually shot. So yeah, it's quite gross. I am not happy with this. I usually clean my Loopstation about once a month, but this time I waited quite a while to clean this, and it is gross. But we're going to clean this right up. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to remove all plugs, any electronics from the Loopstation. We don't want this to be connected to power at all. We also don't want to be moving this thing around and cables in the way because we're going to have chemicals around us. So we're going to go ahead and unplug everything from the Loopstation. Next, you're going to go ahead and examine your Loopstation. Figure out, okay, what needs to be cleaned. Back of this looks pretty clean. Underside looks pretty clean. Another thing I'm looking for is the feet. The little peats in the bottom of the Loopstation. Those can get dusty sometimes depending on your environment or where you're working. If your Loopstation is kind of sliding around a little bit on the table, it should not move at all when you use it. If it is moving, check those little rubber feet on the bottom or those felt feet. You can clean those off pretty easily, and that will help with the sliding issues. At the end of this tutorial, I'll also show you how to clean your microphone, so we're going to unplug that and set that aside for now. But let's go ahead and look at the props that we have here. So we need a microfiber cloth. This will be the thing to actually wipe the Loopstation with. Next is a little controversial item. It's canned air. You can use compressed air, but I found that that's way too strong. Compressed air seems to be designed for this kind of stuff. The next tool that we're going to use is not rubbing alcohol. We do not want to use isopropyl alcohol. This will damage the plastic on our Loopstation, but more importantly, the rubber that our buttons are made of will actually be dried out, and they will start cracking, and the finish of the buttons will start to come off. It's not a good look, and it will definitely ruin your finish on your Loopstation if you use it a lot over time. So definitely do not use isopropyl alcohol. We're going to use a different chemical, which I will talk about in a second. The next piece of equipment that we're going to use is this stuff. It's called Deoxit D100. This is fader cleaner. On top of it being awesome, it cleans your faders and it lubricates them. The faders on the MK1 and the MK2 are unfortunately really cheap. They tend to break a lot easier, and they're one of the first things to fail on the Loopstation. So we want to make sure we're taking really good care of our faders. I will also note that I had two broken faders on my Loopstation. Now I'm going to do an entire tutorial on glitches and problems that the Loopstation has and how to fix them. So I'll talk about this in a little more detail in that tutorial. But this actually fixed my faders. Very good stuff. And so I use this when I clean at the very end. The last thing you're going to need is the cleaning chemical. Now, the cleaning chemical here, I have just put in a Hello Kitty shot glass. You do not need a Hello Kitty shot glass. The chemical, by the way, is really expensive depending on where you live. But it's water. It is just plain tap water, or as my mom calls it, the city punch. So that's literally it. That's what we're going to use to clean this. We're just going to use some water from the sink. All right, so the first step is to get a majority of the debris off, the solid debris off of this device. So we're going to use the can of compressed air. Now, I mentioned that compressed air has a lot of moisture in it. So do be careful when using compressed air. One thing that I'm doing is I'm keeping my distance from the device. I'm not putting it directly on the device. Even if I see a little speck of whatever, and it's super tempting to just put the gun right up to right up to it and just blast it away. Don't do it. Keep your distance. You don't need to take a mile away from it, but you're not going to be putting this directly onto the loop station. Another thing that you're going to be doing is you're not going to be sticking the hose directly into the holes of the faders. This is really sensitive equipment. You don't want to be sticking it into any holes. One thing that I will put it right up against is near the actual creases, the crevices, because again, you're controlling where that air is going. You don't want the air going directly into the loop station, because again, that moisture can be damaging, and it's really cold too, which is also problematic. And if we look at it, it's already looking much better before we're even going to the cloth. Pick this little piece of turd that's on my cloth off, and we can start cleaning our loop station. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your finger and you're going to put it onto the cloth, and you're going to stick it into the city punch and get it. You're not going to get it soaking wet. You're not going to hold it in the cup for very long. You're just going to get it reasonably wet. And the way I'm going to be cleaning this for demonstration is I'm going to clean one half of it. I'm going to clean the left half of it and then the right half. But normally what I do is I clean all of the bottom half first, so the actual track part first. Once all of those are clean, my faders, all that, then I'll move to the top half, the gloss half of the loop station. If you've seen any of my other tutorials, you know that I have a sticker on my loop station that I made. This was before I applied the sticker or even made the sticker. So you're seeing just a pure loop station. Although if you have a sticker that is just not to the edges, because if you've seen my loop station, you know that it's all the way to the edges. But if you just have a regular sticker somewhere, you want to be careful of rubbing the edge of your sticker, because those can actually start to peel up over time, especially if you get moisture underneath the sticker. That can loosen up the glue that is on those. We're just wiping this thing down. I'm making sure I'm getting both sides of the loop station faders. So I'm moving them up and down and just kind of getting around all the edges. The buttons I'm taking extra time with, because those are where our grubby fingers are touching. We're human beings. We have things on our hands. This is just a matter of being a human being. So you're going to have some gunk on the actual buttons themselves. Just take your cloth and just wipe that off. You can be a little bit aggressive with the buttons. You don't rip off the buttons and throw them across the room, but you can be a little bit more aggressive with your wiping with the buttons. As I'm doing this, what I will do normally is I will clean one track with the water, and then the track 1 with the dry, then track 2 with the water, track 2 with the dry, 3 with the water, 3 with the dry, and just go down the line that way. And then I will work in sections on the top half of just like the input effects side with water, then the dry, and just kind of work my way around that way. So I can show you the before and after. Again, I'm just cleaning it a little bit differently than how I would in real life, just to show you this. You can see how much better this loop station looks now that it's wiped down. And again, this is just water. All we're using is some city punch to wipe up our loop station. That's literally it. You can take the buttons off. There really isn't that much gunk that gets under the buttons at all. I'm not a big fan of removing and reapplying the buttons, and with how often I clean this, I'm not a fan. But really, you don't need to take the buttons off each time you clean it. Maybe once every 5-10 times you clean it, you can take the buttons off and clean underneath there. But another thing that you might be thinking is, do you need to take your loop station apart to clean it? Now, what do I mean by that? I mean, do you need to undo the screws and pull this whole top front cover off and clean underneath the actual surface or the electronics themselves? And the answer is no. There are very few inlets for debris to actually get into. The only place that you can really see is the faders, but we're going to be using the fader cleaner to get rid of a lot of that, so we're not going to have to worry about actually taking our loop station apart to clean it. All right, this thing is looking pretty clean. I'm really happy with how this thing is turning out. So what I'm going to do next is give them one last blow of the compressed air, just any extra dust that happens to fall on top of it, because with this fader cleaner, it's going to leave an oily residue in the canal that the faders sit in, and I want to be able to clean that easily. So the fader cleaner, this you are actually going to stick into the hole. So you're not going to stick it all the way into the hole. Like, you don't need to, I was going to say something very inappropriate. You don't need to make love to your loop station with your deoxit. The way I do it is I spray in each one of the holes when my faders are all up. Then I'll remove the excess with a cloth, kind of let the time for it to soak in. And then I'll move my faders up and down. You can count the number of times that you move it up and down. You can be like, all right, we are going to do 30 passes up and down. But realistically, we just need to get that chemical moved throughout the device. You can do 30. Pick your favorite number. Then once everything is fadered down, again, apply in every single fader from the opposite direction. Then move it up and down. So I wait to clean this time. I move it up and down. And then after, I completely clean it again. And just like that, our loop station is clean. Our faders are so buttery smooth. Give them a nice kiss. We want to take care of them. We want to love our loop station just like we love our partner or partners in our life. So give them the care that they need, as well as the rest of your loop station. This thing looks fantastic. So let's move on to cleaning our microphone. The supplies that we're going to need is also very simple. We're going to be using a toothbrush. You can use an old toothbrush. One that I like to grab is a soft bristle toothbrush, but you can even use an old toothbrush. It doesn't matter. The next thing that you're going to grab is some toy cleaner. Now, most toy cleaners are not antibacterial. So I have two here. One is one by Swiss Navy that I really, really like the smell of. It's a lavender. It has lavender in it. If you're allergic to lavender, I wouldn't get this, but I personally really like it, and I like the bottle design that it has. But this stuff here by Sensuva, this is also a toy cleaner. This is actually antibacterial. The reason that I'm using toy cleaner is because it is designed to be soft on the skin, and it's designed to not be harsh. And we have this membrane that is in our microphone, this little cloth membrane that we want to be gentle with. So first thing that we're going to do is remove the cover to our microphone. Once we have done that, while we have the cover off, we're going to inspect our microphone, make sure that it is clean. It looks like the buttons on it work, the sliders work, make sure all the wires are attached. On mine, the top housing was actually coming out from me smacking and throwing around my microphone so much. So I'm going to go ahead and fix that myself, but it's just a good idea to inspect your microphone at this point. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to remove the pop filter that is in the cage housing of your lid, and that should just come right out for most microphones. Just double check to make sure that you can do that with your microphone. Mine's not glued in or anything like that, and for a lot of microphones it's not glued in, but just make sure. Once you take that out, that is the first piece that I clean, is the pop filter, and because I want that to have a longer dry time. So you want to be gentle with this thing. You don't want to wring it out. You don't want to tear it or anything like that. So please be careful when washing your pop filter. Temperature of the water is just warm, and why I choose warm is because it's most comfortable. You're not going to be killing any bacteria or viruses with hot water. You need your water to be close to boiling for you to be able to do that. So just doing hot water makes you uncomfortable. And cold water, same thing. So just warm water, something comfortable to keep your hands under, and just give it a nice scrub. Once you're done with the pop filter, you clean the actual cage portion or the grate, and you just use your toothbrush to do that. It's pretty straightforward. Just brush it away. Once everything is clean, you can then put it back together. Make sure that your pop filter goes back in correctly. If you folded it inside out, make sure that it is right side out. Once you have sprayed it with the toy cleaner, you can put it back onto your microphone, and that's it. That is the whole process. This whole thing should take you about 5 minutes, and that includes probably getting the materials to do all of this. So it's not an intensive cleaning. You don't really need to, just enough to get it clean. 5 minutes per microphone, not too bad. And that's it. That is how you clean your loop station and your microphone. It's how you clean your equipment. So use this time to meditate, contemplate life, watch this video 12 times, whatever. It's your time. You do what you want with it. But anyways, thank you for watching this tutorial. I will see you in the next one.